We're the Moonies. Well, the Moonies are people who believe that we never went to the moon. We had a lot of questions related to them. And they put the seed of doubt the other day in my mind, only because I'm not able to explain every aspect that I've seen. Okay, it doesn't mean that I don't think we went to the moon, but I cannot say that I can explain everything that they raised, all the issues that they raised. Okay, and here are some of them. I'm going to go with some of the questions that or issues that people brought up. Okay, here's the first one. It says Armstrong could be the first man on the lunar surface. Okay, why not? It says photographic evidence necessitates the film crew arrived in advance. Okay, so we have to send the people from Hollywood first before we can send Neil Armstrong up there, because someone's got to film him. But when you look up, how NASA explains this, which I think is pretty decent, okay, decently explained here as this, says Apollo lunar television camera as it was mounted on the side of Apollo 11 lunar module when it telecasted Neil Armstrong one small step. And there you have the link, so anybody can look it up. And so, they're saying that the first thing that they had was a camera on the side of the lunar module. And obviously, if you're going to land the man on the moon, you're going to film him. I'm sure they took care of that problem. I don't think they went to Hollywood to hire some people to do this, okay? So, yeah, some people really take this a little too far. And again, I think what people should really do is focus more on the ISS, the International Space Station, because it's something that everybody can verify today. Just get a pair of binoculars, get a telescope, ask your friend if he's got a telescope or whatever, and you have the schedule from NASA. And it tells you where the ISS is as it rolls around the Earth. It goes around every 90 minutes, 15 times per day. You can locate it with your telescope and you can verify for your own self that this monster is orbiting the Earth way up there, 400 kilometers, 250 miles out there, okay? And you can see it with your own eyes, okay? And so I did had this fellow who filmed it, okay? And I showed it a couple times already. So that's the first one you have to verify. Because if that's true, if you verify with your own eyes that there is an orbiting monster out there, you got to ask yourself, how did that thing get up there? Did they just one day decide, overnight, say, oh, why don't we send a little monster out there to orbit the Earth? And so you put two rockets on this big monster, right? And you just send it out into space and it orbits the Earth? No, hopefully there were many steps taken before we could send that thing up there. Okay, there had to be many steps. And if you're going to take many steps, like, send a probe to orbit the Earth, well, maybe one of those steps would be to send a guy like Gagarin who went out there and orbited the Earth himself. And then he brought him back to Earth. And if you can do that with something orbiting the Earth, why can't you send a probe all the way to the moon, to Venus, to Mercury, to Mars? And I'm saying, not without people in it, okay? So you don't have to send anyone in those probes. All you have to do is just send the probe out there, a robot, essentially. So, you don't risk anybody's life or anything like that. To say that we never went out there, that we don't have the capability, well, I think that's a far stretch of the argument, okay? Okay, now here's another fellow. He raises another issue. Says, when I saw the astronauts jump allegedly on the moon in the 60s, I remember being taught that gravity being much lower on the moon, an astronaut would be able to jump maybe 6 times as high as on the Earth. What I saw was basically a normal jump. So that put a layer of doubt in doubt in my mind concerning there being actually a trip to the moon. Well, there you see it. I can't remember who this was. I don't think if this is Buzz Aldrin or maybe this is another trip to the moon or supposedly trip to the moon. You can see the one on the bottom and it's going real fast. And the one on the top is going half as fast. And so the question here is, yeah, you could film this on the Earth in a Hollywood studio. No doubt about it in my mind. You could do this here on Earth, okay? But this is not a smoking gun because I don't know how you could tell the difference between the one on the bottom and the one on the top. I can just as well say that this was done on the moon as it was done in Hollywood. I mean, can you prove the opposite? Can you argue on the other side of my argument and say that this was done on the moon if I say this was done in Hollywood or vice versa? And I don't think you could. And again, I'm saying this is not a smoking gun for anyone. And here you have, the fellow who answered him says, obviously something is wrong with your thinking. The Apollo spacesuit with a life support backpack was a combined weight of 360 pounds on Earth. Put that much weight on and try to jump. They were able to jump on the moon. Damn sure couldn't do it on the Earth. And I think he's right. I mean, this is the way you got to look at it. If you put one of these things on your head, on your back, can you jump here on the Earth with 300 pounds on your back? And so again, you don't expect the guy to jump 6 times as high simply because he's on the moon. You got to find out what he's got on his back. One issue, and the other one is he's in his suit. He's trapped. He's in a prison in there. He's trying to breathe there. He's got his tubes and his air supply. I want you to go up there on the moon, see if you can jump as high as the moon, 6 times as much. No way. He's totally right. So you got to consider all these things. One fellow says SpaceX will make lunar colonization a possibility with the tech they are developing. Now you have Mr. Elon Musk, okay, and he's trying to get to Mars, I guess. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, we might make it, but it's not like we're going to colonize Mars or the moon. There's no need to. Okay, what are we going to do in the moon? Mine the moon, get some uranium out there and just bring it to Earth? You know how expensive that little rock's going to cost? It's going to be very expensive. So I don't think we're going to mine the moon. Assuming we could get the equipment up there, all these cranes and so on. I mean, you know what it takes to take all that to the moon, just to mine the moon, put it on a little probe and send it back to Earth? The whole operation is just unthinkable. Now that Elon Musk might put a tourist thing where they take some rich people out there to orbit the moon or orbit the Earth, in fact, to be out in outer space. That could happen. Of course that can happen. What is harder to think that that can happen is that we're going to colonize the moon or colonize Mars. Now there we're talking big, that's a big proposition. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Okay, back to the ISS. Here we have it. Fellow says, sure, you can verify that there's something that moves across the sky according to the schedule presented by NASA, which they call the ISS. Okay, so this fellow believes that, okay, the ISS is out there. Fine. What does he not believe? Well, he doesn't believe that there are people inside the ISS. He says, but what's much more arguable is that what you see in the sky shares an identity with a spaceship that's shown in NASA's videos supposedly shot on board. And so the one on the upper right there, you can see the amateur. He's filming the ISS from Germany. Okay, you can see it up there in the sky. Anybody can look at this with their binocular. There he took a picture of it. So he says that's what you see in the sky. And he says, okay, I believe that part. But he doesn't believe the one on the lower right. And that's an astronaut. And you can see that his laptop there, his palm top, is floating. And I want you to produce that in Hollywood. I want to see how you do that little trick, okay? Because one thing is for something to go, in fact, I've got let me show you the water drop here, okay? Because someone raised that issue. Okay, here it is, okay? You see that the lady up there, the astronaut, she's moving that drop of water and then she swallows it, okay? And this fellow says, well, I saw that in a movie. And the movie he shows is the one up below. And you can see the guy drinking the water drops that he let go of his can a little while ago. So he moves around, but I want you to see the water drops, they come in straight. Now, that's just slow motion. That's all it is. That's just slow motion water drops being dropped from a can. See, he drops it from the can, the water drops flow, and he just drinks them. That's different than what the lady does above, okay? She's doing something different. You can see the water drop floating. Now, how did they do that? They did it with little wires? Okay, tell me how they did that trick. So these two tricks are not identical, okay? This guy's just this is just slow motion, the guy in the bottom. That's all it is. You can produce it. I mean, I can throw a bunch of water from a can or from a bottle or whatever, film that, and then run it in slow motion, and that's what they did there. That's different than what the lady's doing there, okay? So no, please show me any film. Point to me to any film that shows that kind of trick, the one that she's doing there. What are they doing? Holding the drops of water with a little string? Okay, so no, I want to distinguish those two. It's not the same thing what the lady is doing, the astronaut there, with the guy on the bottom who did it for a movie.